Well, hello again from Tracking the Blood Trail for Christ Ministries. We're continuing our series, The Bucks on the Wall, and this deer over my shoulder is a very large, non-typical. If his beams would have matched, he probably would have scored into the 150s, possibly low 160s. You can't really tell the mass from this video, but his bases are around 5.5 inches. I'm going to step down and give you a better look at him from the other side. This particular side here has all the antlers going straight up, almost like a hand. Okay, if you would imagine this would be a hand, only they're all going, the main beam curled, they're all going straight up. We'll take a look at that as I step down. And as you can see, the other side is a typical main frame. Like I said, almost 5.5, 6.5 inches, split brow, main beam curling around. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and he broke the end of this main beam off after I shot him. So let me step down here to give you a better picture of the non-typical side. That is the non-typical side, and from the base of that antler to the tip is around 13 inches approximate. Well, the story of this buck was I was hunting along the edge of a marsh, and there was a little high ground ahead of me, and then some Phragmites and other brush to my left. But there was just a slight high ground over there, and I was watching a 130, 140 class 10 point over there most of the morning. I could just see the top of his head, and when he would lift his heads, they were feeding on persimmons. And I was watching him, and he disappeared. I had no good shot. He was within range. I was hunting with a slugged rifle-barreled shotgun, and that 10 point was in range, but it just didn't feel comfortable taking that shot. I would have had to guess at where his vitals were, and I just didn't want to do that. I'd rather them walk away and live another day than taking a questionable shot. But as he put his head down, and I noticed there were other deer there around him, and I lost sight of them, and I heard movement in front of me then, coming on an angle through the Phragmites and the brush that was there, and I'm thinking it's that buck, and he's coming, and I push the safety off, and I'm waiting, and there was a big tree there, and I could see the movement of the deer in the Phragmites, and the deer went around that big tree and then stepped out 5, 6 big walking steps, and it was the buck behind me, and he put his head down, started feeding on the acorns that were dropping there, and so I was able to, he walked into 35 yards. I was able to put the crosshairs, squeeze the trigger. When I squeezed the trigger, he lunged forward and made a hard left-hand turn directly away from me, took 2 bounds through the first layer of Phragmites, and then continued a U-turn where he turns broadside. Well, after that first shot, I had already racked the second one, and when he hit that opening, I squeezed another round off of him, and he went end over end, head first down into the marsh and flipped over and then disappeared. And I mentioned about the end of that broken main beam. I believe that he possibly broke that main beam when he did that head over or tail over head in that last shot. But a very massive main beam, Like I said, 5.5, almost 6 inches around the bases there, right at the skull. Matured deer, but he had a very odd shaped face. And sometimes the people mention about a dog face. It's a very short snout. Big head, but very short snout on that deer. Anyway, that's my uh, real big non typical.